It's hard to not be moved by the images coming out of Sudan, and many Sudanese Canadians watching this war closely are deeply worried about their own loved ones. Our next guest is one of those individuals. Ashraf Ahmed is the president of the Sudanese Canadian Community Association, and he's joining us now from Markham, Ontario. Ashraf, thank you for making time for us today.
Thank you, Natasha, for having me. Appreciate it.
Ashraf, it's been 2.5 years of this civil war, which has been predated by a number of other major military crises in the country. And again, Sudan is in the headlines. Talk to me about what these past 2 weeks have been like for you.
Well, throughout the last 2 years, the Sudanese Canadian community across the country, from coast to coast to coast, are being through a very difficult time trying to processing and coping with what our family members back in Sudan are going through. The displaced either within the country or neighboring countries, the complete lack of basic health care, basic life necessities, make it very difficult on us, make it very pressuring on our mental well-being. That's why the Sudanese Canadian Association is working with the local organizations to provide venues for our community members to have some support and mental well-being.
Are you in touch with family members and friends on the ground throughout Sudan? And if so, what are they telling you?
Yeah, we are following with them. The one of the challenges, being 7 time zones different from our family members back, we need to stay late at night. Like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., just to try calling them, try to get hold on any family member or a friend to know who's still alive, who has been displaced, and what they are going through. They are telling me about very dire and challenging situations, walking from one conflict zone to another conflict zone, staying in refugee camps within the country or fleeing to neighboring countries. They are going through a lot, and we don't know how to process this and how to support them. Yeah.
We've been doing reports on this, and there have been gatherings of Sudanese Canadian communities throughout the country gathering, and many have said that they feel abandoned by the Canadian government and by the international community. What's your take on that?
That's correct. The war in Sudan erupted in the last 2 years, happened in at the same time other international events and wars are taking place that captured the headlines, and unfortunately, the war in Sudan took the backseat on the attention of global power. That made us feel abandoned by the international community. But here, as Sudanese Canadian, we are talking to our government. Canada has a strong voice, and we urge the government to use it in a forceful way to protect innocent civilians and ensure accountability for the horrific violations that are taking place, either by working with international community members or by practicing pressure on international parties that are involved in the conflict in Sudan to cease fire and stop these hostilities.
Let me ask you about the Canadian government. Our colleagues at CBC News with the Visual Investigation Unit have managed to confirm that some of the weapons being used by the RSF, this offshoot of the Janjaweed militia, this paramilitary group, are using weapons that are Canadian manufactured. And Canada is not meant to be selling weapons to Sudan. There's been an embargo on that for over 2 decades. But Canada can sell weapons to the UAE. And so, based on the investigation and the evidence brought forward, it seems that the weapons might be moving through the UAE to the RSF, which is leading to the killing of African Sudanese communities. When you're talking about the connection with the Canadian government, is this coming up at all?
Well, we talked to the government, asking them to talk with the UAE officials to stop traveling and funneling the Canadian arms and weapons to RSF and all other parties. We know that the Prime Minister is traveling to the UAE, and we ask them to practice pressure and to revise the export permits that make sure Canadian weapons will not be used in human violations and civilian got killed by the Canadian weapons. We urge the government to prioritize civilian lives over business and deals, and to hold up the values that Canada stands for, throughout the history. It is being confirmed that weapons are captured there and used against civilians, and we demand actually the government to interfere to stop this.
We'll absolutely be watching to see if the Prime Minister brings this up when he goes to the UAE. Some are skeptical that he will not, but let's see what happens. Let's hope for the best. Before I let you go, I want to ask you one more thing. One of the other ways the Canadian government has committed to supporting Sudanese Canadians has been in the past the Family Reunification Program and applications for that. My last understanding is that they are no longer taking applicants, but please correct me if I'm wrong. What is your best understanding of that program?
Well, the program was, introduced by the government in 2024, and it was a hope for so many Sudanese Canadians that they bring their family members to safety. Community members have accepted to take the financial burden on their shoulders, having that their family members will be able to become safe and resume their life. Unfortunately, with the new government, Carney's government, the immigration levels being announced last week does not prioritize those who are facing immediate risk on their lives, or they are exposed to different type of violations, including sexual violation and violation against all human rights. So what we are talking to the government is to prioritize the processing of the applicants, because currently what they have announced that the processing might continue for several years. Having someone exposed to such violence for several years means that we are deprioritize their lives. This is not accepted. We have talked to the government, and we hope that the government will understand this and prioritize people's lives.
Ashraf Ahmed, it is a difficult time for you and members of the Sudanese communities around the world. Thank you so much for shedding some light for us today.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Natasha.
Our pleasure, sir.